Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. Thank you for joining me as we pay our respects to Bill Kenwright, who has sadly passed away at the age of 78 yesterday. I was hoping to have one of my Follow Everton colleagues on with me for this stream, but it looks like I'm on my own. So I want you in the comments there to support me with this and to give us your thoughts on Bill Kenwright's sad passing and your memories of Bill Kenwright over his tenure as Everton chairman, and also going back to 1989, where he sat on the Everton board before becoming the chairman for a number of years. Of course, Bill Kenwright has had a very distinguished career in many factors of business, particularly in theatre, where he was a very prominent West End, well, not necessarily West End, but a theatre producer involved in lots of things, including a personal favourite of mine, Love Never Dies, which was actually an Andrew Lloyd Webber production, but Bill Kenwright was involved in some of the rewriting of that script, and of course many things through the brothers. And I think he's been extremely successful in theatre, and also a very talented actor. A lot of people will remember him from shows well before my time, I should say. So I can only really remember him more for Coronation Street. And I would have been very, very young watching it, but he was very famous for his appearances in Coronation Street as Betty Williams, the barmaid's son. And he did make 106 appearances in Coronation Street, spanning from 1968 into his most recent appearance, which is 2012. And he, by all means, he was a very good actor from what I've seen and from the clips that I've seen of him. The footballing world has rushed to pay tribute to Bill Kenwright, and that's something that's been seen even across the park at Liverpool, where they've paid their respects to Kenwright. Rest in peace, Bill Kenwright. The thoughts of everyone at Liverpool FC are with Bill's family, friends, and everyone at Everton. Of course, Bill Kenwright was massive. Was massive in terms of his support for the Hillsborough campaign and for justice for that, and of course just a big part of the city. Although he wasn't living in Liverpool, he was living in London. He of course has a big family in Liverpool, residing in South Liverpool. Bill Kenwright himself was an Allerton born. He was born in Allerton, and he attended Booker Avenue Primary School, which is actually literally, I'd say, half a mile from my house. But he's had a very distinguished career. Of course, people will know in recent years, Everton Football Club under his stewardship and others, not just Bill Kenwright, hasn't done very well. But I think he has dedicated his entire career to Everton and has always had the interest of the club. I feel, and I think a lot of feel at heart. Whether he has done well in that is open for debate, but I don't think that's necessarily the time or the place to discuss that right now. I'd like to know what people think, of course, about this. I just want to also read a few of the tributes that I've seen that I thought were quite nice. Of course, I do think it's a little bit sad that that he won't actually get to see Everton play in the new stadium. Dan Meese said himself that Bill Kenwright was influential in Everton actually securing the plot for Bramley Moor, and just in general with that whole project, including appointing Dan Meese in the first place. Bill Kenwright was very influential in that, so he paid his tribute to Bill, and I think we have to give Kenwright massive respect for his part in the Everton Stadium project, this particular Everton Stadium project, which has proven to be very successful and exciting. And it's not a time or place to start talking about things like Everton, our city, and all that. But it is sad, I think, that he won't get to see Everton in that new stadium. And it would have been nice to have seen him in good health and retire as the new stadium opens and at the end of an era, and to see that line, cut the ribbon, so to speak, and then retire, and hopefully Everton can move into a better place. But it wasn't to be. He did have brain cancer and lung cancer. I suppose it was kind of an open secret that he had cancer for a very long time, and of course also had lung problems, and he wasn't well, but he still wanted to work. In fact, in the summer, he handed in his resignation to Farhad Moshiri along with Denise Baxendale, and Farhad Moshiri actually convinced him to stay and said, no, we need you. And apparently up until the day of his recent operation, which was around 6 weeks ago, Bill was still working. And of course, the recent operation around 6 weeks ago was to remove a tumour in his liver. I can only assume that in the end hasn't proven to be very successful, because at the time they had said that they had expected him to make a complete recovery in time. So yeah, it's sad, of course, that he was meant to make a recovery and hasn't, and he's battled liver cancer and brain cancer and had problems with his lungs and stuff, and won't get to see Everton in the new stadium, and it's very sad for his family. He leaves behind his wife Jenny Seagrove and his daughter Lucy Kenwright, and lots of grandkids as well. Looking at some of these tributes then that I did bookmark before. Phil Neville, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for everything you did for Everton Football Club. One from Joe Anderson didn't go down very well. He said, Bill Kenwright died having fought brain and recently liver cancer with bravery and dignity, but I know it was the poisonous cancer of so-called fans personally attacking him that hurt him and broke his heart. I thought there was a time and a place really for that. Alex Iwobi, who of course left Everton to join Fulham in a £22 million deal in the summer, exchanged some text messages he had with Bill Kenwright. Looked very, very nice between them, the kind of relationship. And he said, rest in peace to a hero, played a big part in my career and life. I'll be forever grateful. Of course, the Liverpool Football Club did a tribute. And in fairness, lots of other clubs from Leicester and beyond all around the country have paid their respects to Everton Football Club, who say they are in mourning following the death of their chairman. They've just put something out now. Rest in peace, Chairman Bill Kenwright. Everton lost a chairman, a leader, a friend, and inspiration. He passed away on Monday 23rd after a long battle with illness. Everton's longest-serving chairman for more than a century, of course, 2004. Died 78 years of age. Top eight finishes 12 times in that period. Driving force behind the move to a new stadium, switch to Finch Farm, and the most successful community scheme in the country. I mean, when you look at it like that, you have to give him a lot of respect. He was born in Wavertree, but he did go to Booker Avenue. I didn't know he was born in Wavertree. His idol was the Cannonball Kid. Has anyone here met Bill Kenwright? The article on the Everton website says in 1999 he was asked to answer a club crisis, and his consortium succeeded Peter Johnson. And on Boxing Day 1999, they celebrated a 5-0 win over Sunderland, lying third in the table. He was the vice chairman for 5 years alongside his friend Sir Philip Carter, and then eventually became chairman in 2004. He's been involved for a long time, like 30 years. In the 19 seasons, over 30 years, 34 years. That's what I mean. He had a potent alliance with David Moyes, who I imagine would be pretty distraught right now, actually. They were very close. He was very involved in transfer negotiations before the director of football came in. And I think we were good up until we started getting directors of football. We were good. Just reading this. Kenwright also helped get a switch to the new headquarters in the Royal Ivor buildings. He was a generous face of the football club, and he was always very private. He was a particularly close friendship with the chairman of the Hillsborough family group. Yeah, you can jump on. Just going to bring a buddy of mine in. Just while my friend's jumping on. He had an encyclic music knowledge. He could recall any tracks. He loved He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. Bill Kenwright donated £200,000 to the Bradley Lowry Foundation at the time. He did 140,000 to the Speedo Mick, 250,000 to the Ukraine Disaster Fund, which is phenomenal. Everton in the community, they're talking about that. When Everton Community was founded, it was a 2-man operation working out of a porter cabin in the Park End car park. And now it's got 120 full-time staff and 160 volunteers. It's amazing. Talking about his education, Liverpool Institute and Booker Avenue Primary School. There's a lot here. I've only just seen it, unfortunately. He was the shopkeeper, Gordon Clegg. One of the most prolific theatre production companies on the planet. I remember him, yeah. Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I think there was a TV program he was a judge on. Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita. He directed these with, they were Andrew Lloyd Webber, very famous. Going to bring in Chris now. Yeah, I mean, Blood Brothers, very successful. That was his. And he directed Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice's Joseph, which is about the Israelites going back to the Promised Land and the Dream Coat. And then there's the Jesus Christ Superstar, which is very, very famous as well. Evita. He got a CBE in 2001, an honorary fellowship from John Moores Uni as well. He was Everton chairman through Mashiri's purchase, I think. I'm going to bring in Chris now. Hi, Chris.
Hi, everyone. Sad day. Forgive me, by the way, if my connection cuts out on this computer. It hasn't been very well, but wanted to drop in real quick. I have a bit of a personal story, not to me personally, story about Bill Kenwright that I wanted to share. I've been a part of a few different supporters clubs in America, but the first one I was ever associated with was in Nashville, Tennessee, the Nashville Evertonians. Last year, there was a school shooting in Nashville where one of our members of that group was the chaplain at that school. And so the group reached out to Everton, and we got a personal letter back from Bill Kenwright. And I'd like to read that real quick. His name was Matthew. I don't know if he wants his full name on. He probably doesn't care, but just in case. His name was Matthew. It says, "Dear Matthew, after watching and hearing accounts of the horrific events which have touched you all this week, I felt compelled to reach out to you personally and all the Nashville Blues to offer you our support, our compassion, and our love from everybody connected with Everton Football Club. No words I can say can make sense of the horrors you have endured, but please know that we're thinking about you, your community, and everybody in Nashville affected by this terrible tragedy. One of your members in his recent My Everton article, Clay Tranham, which appears on the website, wrote, 'No one who follows this club in America is doing so because they're glory hunting. There's something else about it, and to me, it's that sense of belonging.' He's absolutely right. You belong to the most passionate and caring family in the world, the Everton family. We all share your pain. While I know your work will be challenging in the coming days, weeks, and months, I have no doubt that your important presence and words will bring comfort and guidance to a lot of people who are hurting. I hope you continue to feel the support and love of all the communities you contribute so much to. We are thinking of you all at this truly difficult time. Love, Chairman Bill." And I've reposted that on my Twitter page as well. I did that because our group leader, Clay, posted it again earlier today, which he shared last year. We all know what Everton was going through at the time, and regardless of your opinion of Bill Kenwright, that's not relevant right now. We all know what they were going through at the time, and so to have that going on and for him to reach out personally to our group really meant a lot to a lot of people, and I think that says a lot about the man that he truly was, and I really wanted to come on and share that today. Sad day.
It is. I mean, and I think whatever people think about Bill Kenwright in terms of his involvement in this recent downfall of the club, you have to kind of separate the two things and look at him on a human level, and the fact that he did dedicate 34 years of his life to Everton, for better or worse. You know, you have to pay tribute to that. And And I think generally, Chris, from what I've seen, the tributes around the wider footballing community have been very respectful. And I know that we've also been critical of Bill Kenwright in the past and others on the board. We've never targeted individuals. Of course, there are some fans that do target and vilify certain individuals, but we certainly haven't pigeonholed anyone in particular. And we've looked at a group failure of the club in recent years, but it doesn't detract from some of the good things that he's done, that being one of them, the personal touch and the way he made people feel very warm. I think from my perspective, obviously, I consider myself still a young fan, although I'm nearly 30, and perhaps someone like Robbie or Wes would have been able to give more of a different perspective on this, going way back to 1989. Of course, I wasn't born till 93.
That was a good year, though, 1989. Just saying.
Of course, but we may have further reaction in due course from people with a bit more memory. But from my perspective, I look at Bill Kenwright and I thought he's clearly very, very, very talented with his music and his musical theatre, with what he managed to do with the plays and the production and all that. And he's a very theatrical person in his nature, and he was a very good at in his Coronation Street and other things that he'd done, which of course is a soap based in Manchester, which I particularly enjoy watching. Even today,
I've seen 0 episodes of Coronation Street. That doesn't mean I can't. You don't need to. It's still out
boring.
there.
It's boring, but I watch every episode.
By the way, before anyone decides to have a go and clip that little thing, I was born in the year 1989, so I wasn't insinuating anything else. Go on, whatever you were saying.
Oh, I thought it was because Everton were quite good in 1989.
That too, that helped.
Nearly winning. We were just on the down. That was kind of the end of the good times when you were born.
I know, right? No, I just piggybacking on that point, though. I think that if you, and I don't challenge anyone to go back and necessarily try to find clips from our previous broadcast. We've been very careful with our words in terms of what we've said about Bill Kenwright. And I say that because we've always tried to say, but he also had the good intentions of which he did. You know, people don't always get it right. They don't always get it perfect. We've never said anything about Bill Kenwright, the man. And, you know, and that I agree with you. I'm glad that people have been respectful, because I was worried that I'd wake up and see a bunch of nonsense on social media. And there's been a couple, which we won't highlight because there's no reason to give them any publicity. But it was comforting to see that everyone seems to be coming together in respect for someone who, regardless of what you think, served the club for a very long time, in my opinion.
I thought possibly that they wouldn't turn the comments on the Twitter thing. Of course, we heard rumours this morning very early. There was a message on our Follow Everton group that Bill Kenwright passed away, and then another source confirmed around midday that had passed away, and then Mabsy said there's going to be an announcement at 5 o'clock. I still was a bit sceptical, but Everton, they're not very good at keeping the leaks inside the club, and something like this I don't think comes out of nowhere. But personally, I was a bit surprised, just because they did say a couple of weeks ago that he was expected to make a full recovery. So so I wasn't sure whether this was just some horrible rumor spread by people online, which of course is we see all around the world at the moment. It's very easy to spread stuff, which may or may not be true. But I was surprised and saddened to hear it. From my perspective, just from an Everton fan's perspective, in the short period that I would have known him, possibly 2006 until maybe 2013, 14, he was a very good. I'm going to say on record that I think he did well. You know, we didn't have much money, we had no investment, and we were able to consistently you can't just say it was David Moyes, because at the end of the day, he owned the club completely. He would have had the veto on everything, and even the fact that he did trust David Moyes and backed him up, and the pair of them worked together, he did very well. So I'm giving him massive credit for that. And I think ultimately he has managed to get us in the new stadium. Along with other people, of course. You live together, you die together in this sort of thing. So I'm not saying it's all Bill, but he would have had a big part in that. Got us into Finch Farm, got us in the liver buildings. So he's done some good things. And I think really what's not been great is obviously Mashiri's come in with no footballing knowledge whatsoever, delegated other tasks to other people, perhaps even the director of football role. Took away some of Bill Kenwright's responsibility and actually was given to people in the wrong position. I mean, whatever political thing you could say about we've got a director of football, we've got a chairman, we've got an owner, we've got too many cooks in the kitchen and no one knows what they're doing. maybe that's a bit unfair. Maybe we don't quite know the ins and outs of what's gone on. But from an outsider's point of view, from what I've seen before Mashiri came in, he did quite well. I obviously can't go back past that, and I'm sure you could only go a few more years past that as well. But
well, no, you're spot on with that last one. I was just about to say I certainly agree with. We don't always know who makes every single decision. We don't know the ins and outs of everything. And that's why whether it's Bill Kenwright, whether it's Farhad Mashiri, whether it's Marcel Brands, whether it's name person here, we don't know who is actually, I don't want to say at fault. We don't know who is actually responsible for certain decisions made. We only pick somebody to scapegoat from time to time. That's the social media way.
Well, Chris, in fairness to that, the scapegoating thing is something that I've become quite informed on recently and looked into more detail, and not just in the footballing term. But it's very easy to scapegoat. I mean, we've done that with we do that with individual players. We've done that with managers, and very rarely, if you see when the scapegoat's actually removed, does it make a difference? From my perspective, when it's rotten, it's rotten. We moaned about. I think even just a footballing thing at the start of the season when Michael Keane played and we took him out and we still conceding loads of goals and we couldn't score a goal or buy a win. We like to scapegoat, don't we?
A perfect example is last season, and I said it a couple of times towards the end of the season. Everybody was talking about Connor Cody like he was an awful player. And then Michael Keane comes in, and everybody wants Connor Cody back at the end of the season. And then all of a sudden, we're the worst club in the world because we didn't pay £4.5 million to sign a center back that's above the age of 30 that wasn't very good last season. He was just perhaps a little bit better than Michael Keane. And I'm not trying to go into a debate about that. The point is, people forget that Connor Cody was the scapegoat for a time there, and then it became somebody else just because somebody else was making mistakes. It just changes depending on what happens that week. But like I said, that's just the way and the nature of being a fan, I think, to some extent. Now,
I think people will be saying, it's not like we're moving on or being disrespectful, but in terms of Everton Football Club moving forward, we haven't got a chairman. And it'd be interesting to see, because the 777 deal hasn't actually gone through yet, hasn't been ratified. We don't know what's going on with the hearing, the independent hearing. I suspect, Chris, that'll be a suspended points deduction or a fine. You've spent too much money. Here's some more money you have to pay, which would be a bit silly. So I don't know whether it'll be a suspended points deduction or something like that. But there's a lot of things going on at the moment. What do Everton do about that chairman position? Is it something they shouldn't rush into and wait until the 777 deal is concluded, or do you think do we have a vice chairman at Everton?
I don't know the answer to that question, and
because we're still building the stadium, I imagine there's some important shit going on.
Sure, and again, a little bit of conventional wisdom would say perhaps they had something in line as a backup plan, but I don't know if that's necessarily true because of what you said about over the summer where Farhad Mashiri convinced Bill to stay on. He must have, thought that there was some merit to that. Having said that, and we expected him to make a full recovery. Having said that, I don't know it seems as though they might wait until the 7-7 deal goes through, but that might take a long time if it even happens, which I have my skepticism about that entire thing in general, because if we recall, the rumors were coming out that 777 wanted input on board members and whether it's their own or they just wanted to have the say in it. So who knows who will be consulted, who knows what decisions will be made. I think that not to dodge the question, I do think it's too early to tell at this point.
Okay. Chris, have you got any further? I don't know if this has been a good stream for people watching. I'm not quite sure.
I'll say this. It's a place for people to, and we've seen a few other channels do short videos today. I think it's a place to come in the chat. Everybody's been respectful. And I think it's just a place for people to just relax, reflect a little bit, perhaps like I said, just chat with mates and be respectful in that sense. And realize that some things are more important than football. Some people don't like some people don't like to hear that, but it's just true.
Yeah, this not necessarily is about football. You could say this is about an Evertonian who's contributed in many ways. Some good, some very good, clearly from what we've said, and some not so good. And reflect on his life and also pass our condolences to his family. In fact, at the end of the day, Bill Kenwright's a Scouser from Liverpool. He's a Blue. He's done very well in his life, and he's contributed to the club in some good ways as well. And particularly for me, ultimately, Chris, it comes down to the stadium. Bramley Moore. I think that's just transformative. I mean, you see the seats going in now, you see the roof on, and you just feel completely inspired, don't you? And excited. And there's the doorbell, so I'm going to mute my mic and tell the ring driver to leave it on the porch.
Go ahead. And I'll say this. This was said well by a couple of other folks, including the Mighty Blues, another fan channel, Cameron, who said that, listen, at the end of the day, someone's lost their father, someone's lost their grandfather. It's a sad day. And whether I can't say it enough, and sorry to be repetitive and annoying, but regardless of what you think of him as he has run the football club, he's a Blue. He's a family Blue. And he's lost his life, and that's a very sad thing after being a passionate fan for a long time. So I'll leave it with that. It's a day. I think it's a day of reflection, and I think somebody in the comment, Lila says a few Blues doing some soul searching. I think it's that. I think it's a day for that, just to think about that and reflect on. He was a good man. This isn't to plug my Twitter page, by the way, by any means, but the statement I read earlier I have reposted that on. You can see that at Real Domino Chris if you want to read that statement. Like I said, a little bit of a personal note from me and my group over there in Nashville, and I'll leave it with that, Ryan, unless you have anything else.
No, I think we've covered everything. I will have a look at some of the comments, and of course, to summarize, Bill Kenwright, born in Liverpool. 1945, and very successful career in acting, in musical theatre, been on the Everton board since 1989, chairman since 2004, right up until he tried to resign in the summer, was asked to stay on, and he leaves behind a family and a wife, and we send our condolences to them and wish them the best, and we hope Everton managed to are okay in this period of mourning, all the staff around the club, all the people that would have worked with him, and that steps are being taken to move forward in the right way as well. Let's have a little look at some of the comments before we wrap things up. Chris, thanks for dropping in. I wasn't sure whether I was doing any well on the stream, because it's not a nice stream to just come on and sit and talk on my own.
There's no format, is there? And I say that in the sense that, like, you're doing fine. We're all here to just speak. It's not a controversial stream. It's not anything like that. We're just here to give our honest thoughts on, again, a true Evertonian for a long time. So I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, and I'm glad I've not seen any sort of celebration type things going on, because I was a bit concerned that we might see a small minority of loud people within the fan base making inappropriate comments. But other than what Joe Anderson said, which was a dig at the fans,
shocking.
Yeah, I just thought just leave it out for now.
Yeah,
we've not given him cancer, and if you put and also, Chris, when you put yourself in a position of authority, you're gonna have people question what you do. That's just natural. It doesn't matter whether you're a manager in a restaurant or you're running a football club. You're in a position of authority. People will question what you do.
Right. Same thing of just being in a position of public light. Anything like that, you're always going to have
people. It's people who take things too far that annoy me.
Welcome to social media, mate.
And also some of it is theory based. Taking things very far on things that people don't quite understand or have the answers on. And for me, that's something that, particularly with Everton Football Club in recent times, it's been quite obvious. And I'm not saying we're completely innocent in that as well. Perhaps we're guilty as well of being quite reactionary to things without quite understanding what's actually going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Eugene says, rest in peace, Bill Kenwright. Thank you, Eugene. Ian says, rest in peace, Bill. His speech at the Hillsborough Memorial Service was wonderful. My condolences to Bill's family and friends and everyone at the football club. Kevin remembers him in Coronation Street and sends his regards. Peter says, I heard he wasn't well for some time. He's actually not been well since 2015. And I heard well before that he had some sort of lung condition and was very unwell. So it's been a long time of unwell health. But sometimes, Chris, people who are not well, they want to keep busy. They don't want to sit around. If you're a workaholic, if you're someone who's naturally always worked and wanted to do things and entrepreneurial and involved in lots of different things and hobbies, you don't necessarily want to sit and retire and do nothing.
No, no,
Um,
especially when that's been your whole life for so long. And I believe in his case, in his mind, he thought, I don't want to stop living my life just because I'm in poor health. And Everton was his life, end of, regardless of what you think.
um, Mark said it's a sad day for Everton. I know our fans were against him near the end, but no one wanted this, and he will be sadly missed. Jim said the club probably kept him going longer because he did love it. About to
Yeah.
sneeze. Don't think that's ever happened on air before. Peter and Kevin are just having a little private conversation. Lila says a few Evertonians are doing some soul searching tonight.
Yeah, I read that one earlier because I think it's a bit true. We meant, I don't want to call people out personally, but you saw people who have just been not so nice, we'll say, in months past, and it's just kind of they have realized now that things are more important. And I don't mean to sound so cliche, like I said, because it's not one of those where, oh well, someone's gone, so all of a sudden you change your entire personality. Well, not necessarily. It's just a matter of being appropriate and being, this is a time for mourning and reflection, and I think that's okay.
And also because we don't actually genuinely know what's been going on.
Right.
Which is the bottom line. We're not inside the club, so we don't know. We make a lot of observations based on information that we think is correct or not. Mashiri won't have a plan. Peter says that he won't have a plan at the moment because he's selling. Dave says he's very sad. It's hit me hard. I wanted him to retire, of course, but he was an amazing man. He had a huge heart. Eugene says we need a statue. I think there will be some tribute.
I don't think it'll be a statue, but I do think
there'll be
a tribute.
There will be I imagine there'll be the Bill Kenwright stand or something, But there will be people, Chris. I mean, we have to be realistic. There will be a lot of people when the dust settles and when the mourning is over that might not be happy about that. I might say, well, what has this man? I mean, I'm not saying this is the case because, like I said, I don't know. But there will be people out there who might say, why are we giving a tribute to this guy who's overseen a period of 30 years in our club history without us winning anything?
Right.
So there's that side. It's not, possibly we won't go into more detail now, but it's going to be annoying because he should have a tribute. He was the chairman of the football club for 30. We don't sit here and question what what Sir Philip Carter or any of the other people have done, whether that's good or bad. He's dedicated 30 years service, and I think it's natural that you would do something.
No, I agree. I also agree. It's not an appropriate thing to talk about today, but it is an uncomfortable question that will have to be asked in the next, I don't know, a few weeks, months, whatever, or until the new stadium opens. And I wish I had a better answer. I don't know the answer to that. I don't have a full, I guess, clear thought on that. But you're right. It will unfortunately be disagreed upon and probably turn ugly on social media and in person and things like that. But that's another story for another day. I don't even want to approach it today. I'm going full PC today. How about that? No.
Missed that. Sad by the news. A little sad heart there. And Wormy says, condolences to the family and sad someone has passed. But he still wasn't a good CEO and probably shouldn't have been in that position.
I'm not here for that.
I'm not here for that either. Just we can do that again in a few months. We can open a can of worms if you want, but just right now, let's just keep it nice. Emotions of a fan trying to run a club always going to be too much. You need someone who's not a fan. Well, I don't have anything else more to say, Chris. Have you got anything you want to talk about?
No. I mean, that's it. You mentioned on air, I guess, a few months back that you had met his brother a while back. You never met Bill, did you?
No, no. Unless you count shouting at him through the car park.
No, I do not.
No. I wasn't giving him abuse.
No, that's not what I said. I just meant that you had been. You had told me a story about that, so I didn't know if you guys had ever crossed paths.
I hadn't met Bill, no, but Jan had, and I think on another time Jan will pass some information. But I know he was very kind with Jan and invited him and his father to the game to sit in the director's box and all sorts of stuff. He was kind with him. Jan, of course, cynically wasn't sure whether it was oh, look at me, look what I found this amazing poet, here he is, look at this, it's me, it's me, it's me. But I think we've got to take things at face value sometimes and just think that was his personality. You know, that was Bill Kenwright. He was an actor by name. He was a theatrical person. He had a big heart, a big character. And I think he was good to the people that knew him, and clearly in the footballing community as well, he was very well liked, as you see by the tributes and things coming out today. But I never did meet him. I just remember one very brief encounter with him where I said, "What time is this, Bill?" Because he was pulling up at the car park, and he said, "Have you seen the traffic on the M6 or something?" He just gave me a bit of a banter back, but I definitely would have liked to meet him, even just I think Chris, just from the musical side of things, really, with my background and just what he did,
right.
With some of the musicals that I like as well. So I can certainly look at him in his career and as an individual, and I could also look at him in terms of Everton Football Club. But unless you've got anything else to add, I'm happy to wrap things up here. And,
that's all. Appreciate you having me as always, and cheers to everyone in the comments. Thanks for all the support. I appreciate it, and we'll chat with you guys soon.
And guys, I'm on a break now, so I'm going away on the 31st. I'll be back on the 15th, so I don't know what's going on with the streams. I will hope some of the guys will be, and Chris, I'm not sure if we can reveal anything on your half here, but
go on. Well, all I'll say it's TBD. I don't know exactly now. It might be a few days here or there, but I will be overseas very soon. In the next, definitely in the next 10 days, and
you're excited to meet some of your fellow Everton friends, aren't you?
Yeah, I've never been more excited to meet Robbie Pritchard, and that's about it.
And the people in the comments, Kevin Kraft.
Those guys, I'm definitely. Yeah. I thought you meant you guys. Oh no, the comments. I'm definitely excited to meet everyone except the Blues.
Try and get a big get together somewhere in some sort of venue where we just invite everyone.
Yeah, we will. I think most, if not all, of our chat is following me on Twitter, and so I'll definitely post updates there as far as where I'll be.
Make sure you do.
Definitely not. I'll certainly. What's that?
Follow Chris, of course. But I may need you to give me a hand while I'm away as well, if you're not actually in the UK, just because you know what this lot are like.
We shot. Depending on where I am, we'll definitely keep that in mind. But no, I'll definitely be at Brighton at the weekend. I'm not sure. Burnley's a 50-50 now. I'm not sure about that one, but the Brighton match will be fun.
You're not missing anything for that Burnley game.
What do you mean? That might be one. You don't think we're going to win that one? All right, that's another story for another day. Anyway, we'll talk about that.
No, I don't think you missed too much there.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. If you can't get back to it, I wouldn't go out your way to go and to come back for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris is coming over soon. He's looking forward to meeting you all, especially Peter Duggan and Kevin Kraft and myself. And
we'll call it on that. We'll see you guys soon.
3%. My iPad's gonna die. Chris, see you in a bit, buddy.
All right, buddy. Cheers, everybody.
Rest in peace, Bill.